Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the New York State Division for Women Women's Informational Noontime Series. It's a series of informational sessions on topics of interest to the people in the community and to state workers. Today with us, the topic is turning life experience into college credit. And with us, we have Dr. Michaela French, Associate Dean from the College of St. Rose, the Experienced Adult Program, Denyce Duncan-Lacy, Public Information Officer from the Higher Education Services Corporation, and Marie Bielawa from the Tuition Processing Unit, the Governor's Office of Employee Relations. We have Catherine Caruso from the Regents Degree Program. They will be speaking for a short period of time, and then we'll open the session up for questions. Thank you.
Just one thing, you want questions at the end?
At the end.
Okay. Well, I'm very pleased to have been asked to be here today, and I see a couple of familiar faces from people who already know what the program is at the College of St. Rose. Like you, perhaps I hesitated to go back to school for a long time. And when I finally did, I felt very strange sitting in a classroom with a lot of younger people. But I found it was an exciting experience, and as the years have gone by, it's become a very common experience, so that now people wanting to go back to school after they've been away for a while find themselves in good company with lots of others who feel the same way. And I say that as an introductory remark because I think that sometimes it is that fear of being the only one that holds you back from starting back to school and perhaps changing your lives in some way. At the College of St. Rose, we have a program called the Experienced Adult Program, and since this is to be a discussion of turning life experience into college credit, it's certainly appropriate that I would tell you about the Experienced Adult Program. Students may come and be admitted into the program after an initial interview, either with me or one of my colleagues. There are normal expectations of whether or not you can do college-level work, but we do try to ease the pangs a little bit if you are uncomfortable about that. Our students may earn any of the degrees that are offered at the College of St. Rose. There is no special designation. It is not a different degree. The only time it becomes a different degree is if you want to design your own, and you may do that. You may design an individualized program just for you. That obviously has to be reviewed and approved and all those other good things that happen in colleges, but it is an option for you if you should look at the catalog and not find anything that seems to fit both your past experience and your future goals. What we try to do then is to help you look at what you might have had previously in college, where it will fit into the degree program, and especially look at what kind of experience you might have had from which some kind of college-level learning has been achieved. That means that if you've been working with people, perhaps doing technical writing, you might have responsibility for computer information that you have not learned formally. There are many different ways that you can get credit. Many of you may have done volunteer work, and we also give credit for that. If you have done volunteer work where it is with a non-profit agency, there are two ways that credit can emerge from that. One for what we call community service, and secondly, for what you might have learned from that program. You might have learned something if you were working, for example, with a politician. You might have learned something about state and local government. You might have learned something about campaigning, and so on. If you have worked in a non-profit organization like a church, you may have learned something about the religious studies programs there, and so on and so on and so on. And if you have questions about that, please do ask me. Most of our students tend to go towards a business degree. that's because so many people feel that their experiential learning lends them it to that degree. And to that end, we often have people asking for credit for such things as business organization and management, introduction to computer science, or some kind of microcomputer applications, asking credit for labor relations if they have been a union representative and worked in negotiations and so on. Asking credit for personnel work, and so on and so on. So that the range is really very wide. If you have worked at all with social agencies, then of course the work will be much more, your learning will be much more geared toward the kind of things that you would find in a traditional sociology class. And it might be something like social issues, a particular area of society where there is a problem that you have helped work through and understand well. I'm not going to go on with the examples because there are too many that come out of what your background might be in work. However, we also have some people who have developed a real expertise in something that is much more avocational than vocational. They have taught themselves perhaps how to be an artist, a musician. They have read extensively in a particular area, perhaps become an American history buff. Those things too can be considered. As can secretarial skills, provided that you have not already got some kind of college transcript that is going to give you credit for secretarial skills. So briefly, that's an overview of what we will do for you. The process is quite simple. You call up, ask for information, and today I have brought with me some forms which you can fill out now, and I'll be glad to take them back with me. And then you will start to receive letters from us saying if you would like to come in and have an interview. That's the way the process begins, with an individualized interview with someone from my office. You are not expected to make any kind of commitment until you've had an opportunity to sit down and talk with someone about your background and about what we can do for you. That means that what you commit to is perhaps an hour of your time. There is no fee of any kind. After that, we review an application from you and look at former college transcripts and see whether or not we can fulfill your needs. If so, you'll be accepted into the program and at that point asked to come back for a second interview, which will almost always be with me. Then we'll get you started on getting registered for a course. You'll be on our list for receiving the brochures and so on, and we hope that it will all have a very happy ending after that. But I would urge you not to feel hesitant about taking that first step. And I see two of our students are here in the audience today, so maybe you can talk with them afterwards about whether or not it was a good experience. Or is a good experience.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Denyce Duncan-Lacy from Higher Education Services Corporation.
Thanks. And Jyedienne, I have to mention, you gave me a raise here.
I did?
I'm the Assistant Public Information
Oh, okay.
Officer.
All right.
Thank you, though. I don't know, maybe they'll get the idea out
Yeah,
there,
it's
huh?
positive
No,
thinking, right?
maybe someday. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about our agency. First of all, the Higher Education Services Corporation is a state agency, even though it's got that word corporation in it, and our nickname is HESC. I don't know, you may have heard of us as HESC. We have some public service announcements on television, and we've got lots of brochures. You may have seen HESC, and it's kind of a misnomer. I'm working on a new name for the agency, Student Financial Aid Agency. We are the state government's student financial aid agency, and we administer, what that means is we administer virtually all the student financial aid programs that are available. These could be grants or loans or scholarships. You may have heard of us because you know about TAP, the Tuition Assistance Program. That's a grant, it's the state's grant program, or the Regents College Scholarship Program, or because you have or had or know somebody who has a guaranteed student loan. We administer all those programs and about 18 other programs as well. We happen to be the largest state-run student financial aid agency in the nation, which says something about New York's commitment to higher education. What that means to you and me is I'm talking about $1.5 billion worth of financial aid to New Yorkers. And there are about 1 million students in New York in college or vocational school, and 75% of them get student financial aid. So don't think that you're not eligible automatically for anything. There are a variety of student financial aid programs, and what we try to tell people is it depends on not only your income, but where you go to school, whether you are the only person in your family in school. By your family, I mean if you're the parent, if you are in school and you have children that are also in school, that will affect your eligibility for aid. All right. The first piece of advice I'd like to give you about student financial aid is you should look into the grants form of financial aid first, because grants are things that you don't have to earn, like you would a scholarship, and you don't have to pay them back like you do loans. If you apply and you're eligible, it's yours, and that's it. You don't have to deal with anybody else afterward. As I mentioned earlier, the state's grant program is called TAP, the Tuition Assistance Program, and it offers a minimum grant of $350 a year and a maximum grant of $2,850 a year, strictly for the tuition costs. It's available to undergraduate students and graduate students, but they must be full-time students and they must study in New York State. Like most grant programs, TAP is based on your family's income. And last summer, the governor and the legislature enhanced the program by raising the income eligibility ceiling to $32,000. That's a net taxable income. Please don't tune me out if your income is over that. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not eligible. And by increasing the maximum award amount, again, to the $2,850 level. If you're a graduate student and you're dependent on your parents, the maximum grant is $1,200 a year now. That was doubled during the summer. How do you get TAP? You have to fill out an application. We have a few to show you. Unfortunately, I don't have enough to give everybody. I don't think you would need them anyway. I mean, unless you're absolutely sure you want this, and then at that point you go to the school. But I did want to show you what they look like. You're going to love this 24-page application. But you should not be intimidated by it. Could you pass around those, or you've got them around already? Okay, I'm sorry. And let me see, I should have kept one of myself. To get one, you can get it from us. You can write to us and get it, or you can get it from the College Financial Aid Office or your high school, if you have a child in high school, the High School Guidance Counselor's Office. If you have a child who took the Scholastic Aptitude Test or the ACT, Academic College Testing Application, you'll automatically get one. We'll send you one, because we figure if you took those tests, you're going to be interested and you should apply. On the front of the application, you may notice the application is used not only for TAP, but also for 13 other state student financial aid programs as well, and I'll come back to that in a minute. The main federal grant program is called the Pell Grant Program. Again, it's a need-based program as measured by your family income. If you qualify, you can get a maximum of $2,100 a year, again, depending on the income and the cost of attendance at the school. I'm going to just briefly touch on a few other programs. There are about 21 student financial aid programs available to New Yorkers. And as I said, it adds up to about $2 billion when you add in the aid that's available on college campuses. So there's a lot of student financial aid out there. Don't think that if you don't know where the money's coming from, that there isn't any. There is. Okay, another federal grant program is called the Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant Program, and it provides up to $4,000 annually. And again, it's available only to undergraduates. Do we have the other form going around as well yet? The FAF is also out there too. FAF. And speaking state higher education ease here. To get a Pell Grant or most other federal aid, you have to fill out another application. Depending on the school that you go to, it may be the financial aid form or the FAF or the Family Financial Statement called the FFS. There are some others too, but those are the most common federal financial aid forms. And again, they, like the TAP application, they ask for income information, the number of other family members in school, and for information about your school plans, what year you're going to be in, or your child is going to be in. If you can get past, my boss, Dr. Dolores Cross, who's the president of the agency, says that if you can fill out this application, you're well on your way to college, or your child will be, really. It asks for detailed information, but if you get all the instructions down, you'll have no problem with it. And there is help available from financial aid officers and guidance counselors. Okay, the last grant program I'd like to tell you about is called the Aid for Part-Time Study Program. It's a new program. It was proposed by Governor Cuomo, and it's available to independent students, people who aren't dependent on their parents' income, if they have an income as high as $15,000 a year. And if you're a dependent student, then your family income can be no more than $22,000 a year. It offers a maximum grant of $2,000 a year for undergraduate study. Again, now the Aid for Part-Time Study Program, or the APS program, is a college-based program, which means that it's only available at colleges that choose to participate. Happily, most of them do, but you have to go and find out from them whether or not they do. The college also selects the recipient, and the college and the award is made through the college. I have a few brochures up here that give a little bit of information about it, and that might be one that if anybody has any specific questions on it, we tend to get a lot of questions about this program, I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, another financial aid program you should know about is the College Work-Study Program. The name pretty well sums it up. If you qualify based on your economic need, the college will help you get a job to pay for your school. Okay, there are also scholarships I mentioned. You have to compete for a scholarship, usually by taking some kind of a test. I mentioned the Regents College Scholarship earlier. It's the one most people have at least heard of. These scholarships are based on a high school student's scores on the SAT or the ACT test, and the awards are for $250 a year for full-time students. And in addition to taking this exam, you can use the TAP application. You have to use the TAP application to request a payment under the Regents College Scholarship Program. There's also a new program that we are offering. It's another initiative from the governor called the Scholarships of Excellence. That program provides up to $2,000 a year, and again, you have to take an exam for that, and then there's a selection process. After you go through that, you still have to request a payment by using the TAP application. Let me just mention a few of the other scholarships. We have available 2 scholarships specifically for people interested in teaching. If you know anybody or your daughter or son is interested in becoming a teacher, we have New York State has the Empire State Challenger scholarships for prospective teachers. There are also there's a federal scholarship called the Congressional Teachers Scholarship, and that's available to anyone interested in becoming a teacher who gets into an approved teachers college program. There are also special scholarship programs for low-income and minority students. I'll mention two of them. The Regents Healthcare Scholarships offer up to $10,000 annually for low-income and minority students studying medicine or dentistry. It's a special program set up to correct the underrepresentation of minorities in those fields. And similarly, we have the Regents Professional Opportunity Scholarships. Those are worth $5,000 a year, up to $5,000 a year, also for low-income and minority students who are underrepresented in the fields. And these fields include law, engineering, nursing, architecture. There are some others. Anybody who has some questions on that? I've got details. On these programs, I have to refer you to the State Education Department. Their address is State Education Department, Bureau of Higher and Professional Educational Testing, Cultural Education Center, and the zip in Albany is 12230 to get the specific program information and how the selection process is made. Okay, last but not least are the loan programs. The largest of these is the Guaranteed Student Loan Program. This is another need-based program. Your income will determine whether or not you're eligible. It allows you to borrow at low interest rates. Currently, it's 8% interest rates, up to $2,625 a year for freshmen and sophomores, and up to $4,000 a year for juniors and seniors. For graduate students, the maximum guaranteed student loan is $7,500 a year. The easiest way to apply for a guaranteed student loan is probably to use the FAF, financial aid form, or the FFS, and you check a box that you want to apply for that. And I'm getting the time signal, so let me wrap it up. You check the box, and that gets the application in the process. Under the GSL program, you don't have to begin paying back until 6 months after you're either not in school or you graduate or you stop going to school at least half time. So with that, I'll stop here. If anybody has any questions, again, I'll do my best to answer them.
We're going to keep all the questions to the end of the program. Next, we have Marie Bielawa from the Tuition Processing Unit of the Governor's Office of Employee Relations.
Thank you, Jyedienne. As Jyedienne said, I am with the Governor's Office of Employee Relations, the Program Planning and Employee Development Division, which administers the tuition reimbursement. This is a benefit to New York State employees. It is negotiated, and the people who are eligible are with the executive branch and are represented either by CSEA, PEF, or those employees who are designated as being management confidential. To quote one of our public relation pamphlets, this program was implemented to financially assist employees who seek to improve their skills, job performance, and career opportunities by enrolling in various credit and non-credit educational programs. So this is a wide scope of courses open to people. Fees which would be pertaining to today that are covered by our tuition reimbursement are proficiency tests, the Regents College Degree Program, and other covered tuition expenses. Examples of career-related courses are those which are directly job-related or part of a degree program, and the degree program in itself is considered job-related because it would enhance your opportunity for advancement within your job title series or further on. Excluded from the program are hobby, personal interest, and physical education courses. Although they may be required for the degree program, they are not covered. In addition to actual tuition charges, certain fees are covered, and they would be registration, lab, library, and computer. However, we do not reimburse for books, student activity fees, health insurance or other insurances, late charges, parking fees, and return checks. The reimbursement rates vary with each negotiating unit. CSEA reimbursement is computed at 50% with a maximum of $500 within a fiscal year. PEF is computed at 60%. Currently, they have a $500 maximum. As of April 1st of '87, which begins a new fiscal year, that will be raised to $600. Management confidential employees are reimbursed for 75%. There is no dollar maximum. However, you may be reimbursed only for 4 courses or 16 credit hours, whichever happens to be first. There are no reimbursement checks issued for less than $10. To be eligible, you must have been a New York State employee for 6 months consecutively, immediately prior to beginning your coursework, and be a New York State employee at the time you finish the course. The procedure is a 2-step process. Again, we have forms which you would fill out at the time you begin the course. You would go to your agency training office or your personnel office. They should have a supply. You fill out the Part 1, and it's at that time that your agency rating officer determines whether your course is career-related or is it unrelated. You are given a copy of that form to keep for your records, and the original is sent to us, where we keep it on file until you complete the course, and also send to us at that time a Part 2, your original receipt, and a copy of your transcript showing that you successfully completed the course. When you send us your Part 2, your 1 and your 2 are matched up, so to speak, and the mathematical computation is done, a voucher is sent to the Department of Audit and Control, Office of the State Comptroller, and they will issue you a check which is mailed directly to your home. Usually it is within 4 to 6 weeks from the time that we send the vouchers over for payment. The receipt of the check usually is the happy ending of the story. Sometimes people do not understand the computations and they call us. We certainly would help them out as much as we could. This is a benefit that is well used. We have sent quite a few payments for processing. In 1985 alone, there were 7,210 payments to employees. This was for 11,400 courses. The usage of the program is 11% management confidential, 46% PEF represented, and 43% CSEA. So you can see it is a worthwhile benefit. It has been negotiated by your unions, and you should take advantage of it. I thank you for asking me to come.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Catherine Caruso from Regents External Degree.
Right. Well, we did change our name. We used to be the Regents External Degree Program, and now we're Regents College Degrees, but that's okay. We'll set you straight. Let me give you a little bit of background. I'm sure you've all heard of the College of St. Rose, and probably you've heard of the places where my other colleagues have come from today, but I doubt whether you've heard of Regents College Degrees. The University of the State of New York and the Board of Regents established the Regents External Degree Program back in 1970 to provide opportunities for adults to further their education. They weren't feeling that the higher education in the state was meeting the needs of working adults. So they designed an alternative to traditional colleges, and by doing that, they recognized that what a person knows is more important than where or how that learning took place. We don't have any campus, we have no ivy-covered walls, we have no classrooms. However, along with that comes that we have no entrance requirements, we have no time constraints, and we have no residency requirements. What we are is an assessment college. We are designed to measure and document learning rather than to teach. Our faculty, who are faculty members at colleges and universities across the state, and indeed all the way up and down the East Coast, teach at colleges and universities there, and they come together for us to set the requirements for our 16 different degree programs, and they determine how credit earned in a wide variety of ways can be applied to those degree requirements. What makes us different, other than the fact that we don't have any ivy-covered walls, which I miss, is the way that you can earn credit toward a Regents College degree. We have 7 different ways of earning credit. The first is the most obvious, college classroom courses. But the difference is that you may take college credits from any regionally accredited college or university in the country. So if you were to start in Albany and then you had to move in 6 months to another place, as long as you went to a regionally accredited college, you could still apply the credits toward one of our degrees. This not only covers college classroom courses, we also will accept correspondence courses, telecourses, ones that are done by television. We also can accept courses that are taught by business and industry. A good example is the Xerox Corporation has a tremendous training program for its employees. A lot of what they do is college credit bearing through something called the Program on Non-Collegiate Sponsored Instruction. It's PONSI for short. If they have been recommended for credit, we will accept those credits toward a degree. Another way of earning credit is military service schools. Our service members go through a tremendous amount of training, and a lot of it is college credit bearing. Pilots' licenses, FAA licenses are also credit bearing. Proficiency examinations. Some of you may have heard of CLEP exams or graduate record examinations, the professional secretary's examination. All of these examinations are credit bearing and can be applied toward a degree. The professional secretaries I mentioned because it is worth 30 college credits that can be applied toward either an associate or a baccalaureate level degree. Nursing performance examinations are also a way of gaining credit. We do offer degrees in nursing, but to document that these people are clinically competent, we do put them through some rigorous in-hospital examinations, which are credit-bearing. The final way of earning credit is something called special assessment. This is our way of being able to assess people for college credit in subjects in which there are no proficiency exams. An example might be Swahili. There are no proficiency examinations in Swahili, but certainly if you are able to speak it and you can read and write it, that is college credit bearing and can be applied toward a degree. You can consider us to be the package, degree earning package, and it is the most flexible way of earning a degree that's out there. We have 17,000 students located in all 50 states and about 20 foreign countries, and since 1972 we've graduated over 33,000 people. So there are an awful lot of graduates out there that have done their degree program their way. They have used a configuration of any one or several of these 7 ways of earning credit, and each one of those 33,000 people put it together in a different way. The average age of our students is 36. We are an adult-oriented population. These people have families. They're working full-time. They're trying to get ahead in their careers and still get a college degree. So they're trying to do everything at the same time, which I'm sure you can relate to. We do have 16 different degree programs at the associate and bachelor's degree level. We have degree programs in the liberal arts, in business, in nursing, and in technology, and that includes computer technology, software and hardware, electronics technology, and nuclear technology. We are located in the Cultural Education Center, which is the museum building of the South Mall. We have people that can meet with prospective students at any time. We are designed to be long distance, because 80% of our student population lives way far away from us and never set foot in Albany, New York. So we are geared to people who have to read about us or talk to us on the phone or in a lot of different long-distance methods of learning. If you would like to take any of the materials I have here, you certainly may, or can make an appointment to come in and speak with us about what you have in your past that may be able to be converted to college credit and eventually a degree. And I'll just leave it with that if you have any questions.
Okay, we'll open the floor for questions now. Yes.
This applies to the employee scholarship program. From your description of the purpose of the scholarship, it sounds as though it's taxable. Do you have any comment on that?
You mean the tuition reimbursement? I believe they have not stated that it is taxable. There were laws.
My recollection is that if you receive money to advance yourself in your career, that is taxable. But if you receive money or if you're required to take a course to keep your job, then it is not taxable.
I really couldn't say that. I believe that the law states that you claim your expenses, and if you're reimbursed for it, then only that portion of the expenses may you list on your income tax.
Right.
I believe that's the way it still exists.
Are there any loans, low-interest loans, that are not need-based?
There are loans. They're available. They're government-subsidized loans. I don't know. It depends on what your definition of low interest is. I was going to tell you about the parent loan to undergraduate students and the supplemental loans for students. Those are subsidized loans, but it's about 12%. So it's not as low as the guaranteed student loan program.
That is need-based.
That is not need-based.
It isn't.
No.
Guaranteed student loan isn't.
The guaranteed student loan is the
need-based.
parent loan for undergraduate students are not, and the supplemental loans for students are not need-based. But you also have to begin paying interest on them, paying them back while you're still in school, as opposed to the guaranteed student loan program where you
Got a question in the
graduate.
back? Hold this one.
I didn't hear the beginning of your talk about the employees' reimbursement. Are there time restraints on the time you can hand in? I presently just completed a first semester with the Cornell Women's Studies program and found out that I would be eligible for reimbursement. Would it be too late now to get reimbursed for the first semester?
No, it is not. You're still current. You're within a year of when you began your course study.
Do I finish the entire year?
No,
Or
it's,
just each
you submit a
semester?
form each course, for each course that is taken. And we reimburse you on a per course basis, not for a total degree program. As with the Cornell program, it's a year-long course of study. This is the Public Women's Service. No, you may still submit for your courses which you've completed and then fill out the forms for the courses which you are now taking.
Is the professional secretary's exam given by Regents, or is that a separate exam?
No, it's given by the Professional Secretaries Association, and they give it several times a year. I have information about it in here.
In relationship to the Regents Scholarship, you said that that was based on ACT scores and SAT scores. Can you give me a particular score level which they start looking at to award?
No, I'm sorry, I just don't have the answer to that question. Safe to assume the higher scores, the better.
Denyce, on that same line, do adults take the adult? That's strictly for students coming out of high school.
That's right.
That's okay. Any other questions?
How is tuition assistance, the tuition assistance grant affected if you have other state aid?
The tuition assistance program has to be used just for tuition. So they apply that first, and then the other aid is reduced.
But I thought, I had thought that there was a decrease in the tuition assistance or the TAP award if you were in receipt of other state aid.
Let me check into that with you, okay? Take my TAP guide. Oops.
Any other questions? Okay.
I think so.
Does the Regents College degree include credits for life experience?
Well, that's an interesting question. If you were to walk in and say, I've been working for the past 5 years, how many credits are you going to give me for that? Then I would say no. But what you can do is go through a series of questions to figure out what you know. As Dr. French was saying, if you've been a history buff for many, many years, you may be able to take a graduate record examination in history and earn 30 credits on the basis of that exam, which costs $27, takes 3 hours to take, and 30 credits come out of it. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to convert what you know into academic currency that can be used toward a degree. Go ahead.
Can it be used in conjunction with other programs that have
Portfolios?
programs with college credits for life experience?
Sure. As long as credit for life experience appears on a regionally accredited college transcript and it's defined. It can't be just like, okay, 30 credits life experience. We have to know what it's in so that it can be applied toward the degree. Certainly.
So like someone can clear that with you first
Sure.
before they get into a program to see if it's
Certainly.
compatible with furthering the degree through your institution.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Empire State College?
Sure, I get that question a lot. Empire State College is, if you're on the continuum of traditional education in which you have a professor and students and you know, in the traditional way that you think about it, and Regents way over here, where you are by yourself with an assessment university. The only time that you contact us is when you want to bring us credit, okay? Then you've got Empire State, which is a little bit more on the continuum toward the traditional sense. You must meet with your mentor at different periods of time to discuss your degree program. You must have that one-on-one interaction, okay, on a timely basis in order to gain the credit for what you're doing. They also have established courses, say for example a 4-credit course in, I don't know, American history or something like that, during a particular period of time, and it's usually 6 or 8 months. You must meet with your mentor X number of times, you must complete X number of assignments on this timely basis, but you can do it pretty well on your own. So you're kind of in the middle between having to go to a class every Thursday evening from 7 to 9 and being able to take a proficiency exam and just study for it, take it all by yourself, and then give us a score report. So you're in the middle with Empire State College.
So Regents degree is strictly proficiency exams?
No, this is what makes it tough. Think of this as the package, okay? You could use Empire State College courses toward our degrees, and you can use proficiency exams, and you can use CSR's life experience program, and you could take courses at Schenectady County Community College or Hudson Valley Community College or Texas Christian. Okay, so you can just think of us as the most flexible package to which you can bring all these different things. Okay.
If there's no more questions, we'll conclude. I'd like to say thank you to all the panelists. It was a lot of information that we shared here today. I'd also like to make an announcement that the Division for Women is sponsoring a legislative conference on February 17th, which will be held at the Empire State Plaza. We're co-sponsoring that with the Assembly Task Force on Women's Issues, the Women's Legislative Caucus, and the Attorney General's Office. You can call our office for further information. Our next noontime series will have a change of location. It will be held on the 21st floor in the conference room. And we have one of the speakers on that, Andre Marr, the Legislative Director from the League of Women Voters, with us today. Sandra Rose Temple, Albany County Legislator. Diana Hinchcliffe, President-elect of the American Society of Public Administrators. And Sandra Ballas from the Vice President of the National Organization of Puerto Rican Women. The topic at that time will be volunteerism and networking, helping each other. I'd like to thank you all for coming. There are some materials up here that you can pick up and ask the panelists any other question. Thanks a lot, and see you next time. Ah.